Hey folks, welcome to the channel. We're starting a new build today, a Kukri. This one's going to be mono steel out of 80 CRV, mostly a forging project. Let's get right to it. My last couple projects have been really technical and a lot of fitting and finish work. Now I wanted to focus on truly forging, so that's mostly what this build is about. What you see me doing here is starting to forge in the tip of the blade. I like to start from the front and work my way back, and since I just have a big piece of steel, I got something to hang on to. Watch this, I have the fastest forge ever. I just have to touch it and all of a sudden the steel is hot. This is the first time I've really got to use my rounding hammer from Spencer at Heavy Forge, and it works great. So Spencer, if you're watching, thanks buddy. As you can see, it's pretty repetitive. Hammer on the edges to set the profile, and then hammer on the flats to fix the things you just distorted by hammering on the ends. The Kukri design tapers after the initial flare at the front of the blade, and it tapers towards the handle, so that's what I'm starting to put in here. Of course, as I taper it, that steel also gets thicker, so I need to hammer down the flats to maintain my thickness throughout the blade. Now I'm starting to put that downward curve into the Kukri just by hammering it over the anvil. I have the very basic shape of the blade now. Now I'm moving over to the handle and starting to shape that. It was really satisfying to see this thing come together. It's really been a while since I've fully forged a blade. I do a lot of Damascus, and a lot of times I don't want to mess up the pattern, so I end up forging it a little bit, but then doing some stock removal. This is also the very first time I've ever used 80 CRV2, and it does move really well under the hammer, and it's really fun to use, so I'm anxious to see how this goes through the heat treat. I wanted to make sure I had the right shape in the handle and it was forged in correctly. That's why I keep going back and forth to my pattern here. It's time to cut off the steel I don't need here. I actually ended up having the handle still be a bit too long and have to cut another inch or so off of it after this. Okay, here I'm cheating a little bit. I'm just using the press just to do a final flattening. Here's the kukri after forging. Some minor things to do. I need to clean up this kind of choil section just to get this. I figured I would do that on the small wheel, and just some of the shaping here that I just didn't want to forge in. So pretty close. I started to forge some of the bevels, but to be honest, I just didn't want to have to change the shape here, because if I start hammering in the bevels, it's going to curve up. I'm going to have, I didn't want to go deal with all that. So basically forged to shape. I just haven't done bevels. So off to the grinder. Okay, this is my first time using this horizontal, and I really need to build something to catch all the sparks coming off the side, because they're going all over my shop. So I got to build something. I gotta tell you, it's really nice having the ability to put the grinder in horizontal mode and be able to do the spine like this. I can see it easily. I know it's square to the flats. Really nice. Being able to use the small wheel attachment in horizontal mode like this, total game changer. So I've got the profile done on this. I've taken all the scale off it. I think it's down to about 330 seconds, which is where I want it. Now to do the initial bevels. So I'm going to mark it up, put some lines on it, and do this bevel and the false edge. As you can tell, I'm playing around with some camera angles and sliding the camera, so let me know what you guys think of this. If you've never done a kukri or a blade like this has a lot of curves, the biggest problem is this inward curve. Same when I did the karambit. These are tricky to grind. Now I'm putting the bevel on the false edge, and against my better judgment, I did this with the grinder. After I did it, I wish I would have just used my filing jig, which is a little more accurate because it just goes slower. I ended up having to clean it up on the file jig anyway, so I wish I would have just started here. So I got the sharpening choil put in. Now I'm just going to define where my handle is and where my pins are going to go, because I need to drill these holes now. Now I'm getting ready to do some normalization and thermocycles, and I've heard that 80 CRV really scales badly, so I've decided to put it in some stainless steel foil for those cycles. If you've never used stainless steel foil, this stuff is really thick and it can really slice you open, so you got to be super careful. I'm getting ready to quench the Kukri. Just wanted to show that I created another quench tank to hold, this is ParksAAA, which is a slower quench oil than the regular Parks 50 that I use, because 80 CRV2 requires a slower quenchant. So I put a little sidecar on here, so I'll have it for future. It's definitely got to work in it. Definitely skating a 60. That's a 65. So it's good and hard. Well, folks, here it is after the heat treat, and it's been tempered at 400 degrees twice. So it turned out pretty good. Pretty straight, except for the just right about here, there's a slight warp. So I may put it back in the temper because I don't really want to re-profile the tip to get that out. And it might be a little too much to get out with grinding, but it's not too bad. But I'm pretty happy so far. It's really hard. It came out close to 65. It was skating a 65 file, so that's pretty good. So stay tuned for next episode. I don't know if I'll finish it, but certainly we'll finish the grinding and get pretty far into this blade. So thanks for joining me. We'll finish this one off soon. We'll see you on the next one, guys. Thanks for watching.